I was 7 months pregnant the day I found the photo. It was buried in an old wooden box in the attic of my husband's childhood home. We just moved back to his parents' place while our own house was being renovated. The plan was simple. Stay for a few weeks, enjoy some home-cooked meals, save a bit of money. But instead, I found something that shattered everything I believed about my family and his. It was just an old photo album. His mom had handed it to me with a smile, saying, "You might like to see what Kyle looked like as a kid." I sat cross-legged on the floor, flipping through pages of chubby cheeks and scraped knees. Kyle with a bowl cut. Kyle with missing teeth. Kyle holding a frog the size of his face. Then came the group photo. Dozens of kids. A summer camp, I assumed. The date scribbled in pen. 1997. I scanned the photo, smiling, until my eyes locked on someone near the back. No, it can't be. I brought the album closer. My heart started pounding. It was him. My father. But not as I knew him. Younger. Maybe late 20s. Standing at the edge of the group, arms folded, half smiling. It wasn't just a resemblance, it was him. The same dark eyes. The same scar near his eyebrow from a childhood accident he told me about 100 times. I flipped the page. Another camp photo. And again there he was. Why was my dad at Kyle's childhood summer camp? I sat there for a full 10 minutes, heart racing, brain refusing to connect the dots. When Kyle walked into the room, I closed the album too fast. "You okay?" he asked. "Yeah. Just tired." Lie number 1. That night I called my mom. Asked casually if Dad had ever worked at a camp out west. She went quiet. "Why are you asking that?" "No reason. Just found an old photo in Kyle's album." More silence. Then she said something that chilled me. "I told him not to go back there. I told him it would only make things worse." "What do you mean?" But she just sighed and hung up. I stared at my phone for a long time, then looked down at my belly. For the first time, I wondered if bringing a child into this family was a mistake. The next morning, I woke up before Kyle. I couldn't stop thinking about the photo, about the way my mom reacted. Something about her voice, it wasn't just surprise. It was fear. While Kyle made breakfast downstairs, I slipped back into the attic. The wooden box was still there, untouched. I opened it again and began going through the rest of the contents. There were more albums. More photos. Some were labeled with years: 95, 96, 97. In one, my dad was standing next to a woman I didn't recognize. They looked close. His hand was on her shoulder, her smile a little too intimate. Then I found a postcard, addressed to my father. It was from her. Her name was Angela, Kyle's mother. The message read, "Asterisk, you said we'd keep it a secret, but secrets rot from the inside. I'm not sure how much longer I can pretend." Asterisk. My stomach turned. Angela and my father. Together? What kind of secret? Just then I heard footsteps on the stairs. I shoved everything back in the box and pushed it under a pile of old blankets. Kyle peeked in. "You're up here again?" "I was just looking for baby stuff," I said. He smiled. "You're nesting already. Cute." Cute. No, nothing about this felt cute anymore. That afternoon, I asked his mom if she'd ever met my father. I tried to sound casual. Angela's expression didn't change. "No, I don't think so." "Why do you ask?" "Lie." I knew it was a lie. I saw them together in the photo. "Just curious," I said, smiling. But inside I was screaming. That night, I dug through an old drawer in Angela's den when no one was looking. I found it quickly. A small dusty envelope marked private. Inside, a birth certificate. Not Kyle's. A different name. Different date. Different father. And in the father's name field was my dad's full name. What the hell was going on? Who was this child? And why did Kyle's mom hide the record of another baby born in the exact same year as Kyle? I stuffed the birth certificate back into the envelope and returned it to the drawer, hands shaking. Was it possible? Could my father have had a child with Angela the same year Kyle was born? And if so, who was that child? Back in our room, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw my father's face in that camp photo. The way he stood behind Angela. The way she looked at him. And now, the second birth certificate. Was Kyle not who he thought he was? Or was I the one living a lie? The next morning, I pretended everything was fine. I even kissed Kyle on the cheek and told him I was going into town for baby clothes. Instead, I drove straight to the county records office. It took nearly 2 hours and a small research fee. But I got what I was looking for. Angela had indeed given birth to 2 children in 1997. One in January, one in December. Twins? No. Different birthdays, different hospitals. But both records listed different fathers. And one of those fathers was my dad. That meant I was married to someone who might be my half-brother. I nearly vomited in the parking lot. I drove home in silence. Kyle was outside mowing the lawn when I pulled up. He waved at me like everything was fine. Like our lives weren't possibly built on the sickest kind of secret. I tried to act normal, but I couldn't stop staring at him. That night, I sat alone in the bathroom, holding the ultrasound photo of our baby. Was I going to bring a child into this nightmare? I needed answers, and I knew only one person left alive who could give them to me. My father. I drove to my parents' house the next day without telling anyone. My mom opened the door, startled to see me unannounced. Emma? Is everything okay? No, I said flatly. Where's Dad? She hesitated. He's in the garage. I walked past her without another word. He was sitting at his workbench fiddling with something mechanical like always. When he saw me, he smiled. But the second he saw my face, the smile dropped. I need you to tell me the truth, I said. He wiped his hands with a rag. About what? About Angela. About Kyle. About the baby born in December 1997. His body stiffened. He didn't speak. Dad, I said, barely holding it together. Am I married to my brother? He flinched just slightly. But it was enough. I didn't know, he said quietly. I swear to you, I didn't know until after you were already together. And by then, what was I supposed to do? Blow up your life? I stared at him, stunned. Tell me everything. He sighed, sat down slowly. I met Angela the summer before you were born. We were stupid. Young. She got pregnant. I offered to help, but she told me she was going to raise the baby alone. I moved on. Married your mom. We had you. And Kyle. I didn't know about him until years later. I thought she had one child, mine. But after I saw a photo of her son online, I realized something didn't add up. The timelines didn't make sense. She had another child with someone else. Or maybe she had twins and split them. What? I don't know, Emma. I don't know. Angela always played games. She lied to everyone. She said one of the babies died. Then she said they were adopted. I could never get the truth out of her. But if Kyle is... I don't think he is, he interrupted. I don't think Kyle is your brother. I think it was the other one. The December baby. The one she gave up. I think that was mine. I felt dizzy. You're guessing. I'm doing my best with the lies I've been told. I stood there for a long moment, frozen. My chest ached. Then I asked the only question I had the strength left to ask. Why didn't you tell me? His voice cracked. Because I didn't want to lose you. Too late. I drove back to Kyle's house in silence, every word my father said echoing in my head. I don't think Kyle is your brother. But he didn't know for sure. No one did. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, listening to Kyle's soft breathing beside me. Every time I looked at him, I saw the question. Was I in love with my half-brother? By morning, I couldn't take it anymore. Kyle, I said, sitting up in bed. He blinked, still half asleep. What's wrong? I need to ask you something. And I need you to be honest. He sat up, suddenly alert. Okay. Do you know if your mom ever had another child? A sibling you've never met? His face changed instantly, a flicker of panic quickly masked. Where's this coming from? Please, I said. Just answer me. He hesitated. She mentioned something once. A baby that didn't survive. She never gave me details. Why are you asking this? I stood, pulled out the envelope I'd hidden in my drawer. The birth certificate. Because I found this. He took it. His hands trembled slightly as he read the name. The date. The father's name. My dad, I said quietly. He sat down. This is a joke, he muttered. It has to be. My mom wouldn't lie to me about something like this. She lied to all of us, Kyle. He looked up at me, face pale. You think I'm your brother? I don't know. I don't want to believe it. But if there's even a chance. Kyle stood, grabbed his phone. We can get a DNA test. Today. Right now. Are you sure? I need to know, Emma. I love you. And if what we have is real, if it's safe, I want to protect it. The next few hours felt like a blur. We drove in silence to the nearest testing clinic. Swabbed. Signed forms. Paid extra for expedited results. Then we waited. 2 days of pretending. 2 days of awkward silences, of brushing past each other like strangers. 2 days of imagining what would happen if the test came back positive. And then the call. I answered it on speaker. The technician's voice was flat, professional. The results show 0% probability of a biological sibling relationship. I closed my eyes. Kyle exhaled, collapsing into a chair. We weren't related. But before relief could fully settle in, the technician said one more thing. However, there is a notable genetic link through the paternal line. Mr. Kyle Miller is not your half-brother, but he is related to your father. I felt the air leave my lungs. What kind of relation? I asked. A pause. According to the markers, Kyle is likely your cousin. Cousin. The word echoed in my head like a siren. Not my brother. But still family. Blood. And no one had ever told us. Kyle looked like he'd been punched in the chest. I don't understand, he whispered. My dad died when I was 10. How could your dad be? I stared at the wall, mind racing. You said your dad's name was Thomas Miller, right? He nodded slowly. I reached for my phone, heart pounding, and searched through my father's social media. I remembered an old family reunion post, one with a group of men from his side of the family, uncles, cousins, brothers. I pulled it up. Kyle looked over my shoulder and froze. That's him, he said, pointing. That's my dad. And there it was. My dad and Kyle's dad were brothers. We weren't siblings, but our fathers were, making Kyle my first cousin. I sat down, dizzy. This wasn't just some distant relative. This was close, intimate, legally questionable, morally worse. All these years our families kept this buried. Why? Kyle sank into the couch, staring at the floor. They never told us. Not your dad, not my mom, not anyone. Because they knew what it meant, I whispered. Because they knew what we might become. He looked up at me, pain in his eyes. Emma, what does this mean for us? I didn't answer. 'Cause I didn't know. That night Angela came home. I didn't wait. I cornered her in the kitchen and held up the photo, the birth certificate, the DNA results. Start talking. She looked at everything in my hands and slowly sat down. I didn't want this for you, she said. For either of you. Then why didn't you stop it? Because I didn't know it was Emma. I didn't know who she was until after you were married. By then it was too late. But you knew about our dads, I said. You knew they were brothers. Yes, she whispered. And I knew your father, Emma's father, had done things he never paid for. I wanted to protect Kyle. And I thought maybe this way I could. Protect him from what? Kyle asked, voice shaking. Angela looked at him. And for the first time I saw real fear in her eyes. From the truth, she said. From what your father and his brother did to me all those years ago. Silence. The kind that swallows the room whole. Kyle stared at his mother like he didn't recognize her. What do you mean, what they did to you? Angela took a long, trembling breath. Her hands were clenched so tightly that her knuckles were white. It was 1996. I was 22. Working part-time at the lake camp. The same one from the photo you found, Emma. She paused. Your father and Thomas, Kyle's dad, were both counselors. They were charming. Loud. Everyone liked them. She looked down, ashamed. I was young. Naive. I fell for Thomas first. He made me feel seen. Special. And then, he left. Just stopped showing up one day. Kyle blinked. You never told me that. She ignored him. Continued. After that, your father, Emma. He was there. Always helpful. Always listening. Until one night at a staff party he cornered me. Her voice cracked. I told him no. I said I didn't want anything to do with him. But he didn't care. Emma's chest tightened. Are you saying? Angela nodded. I got pregnant. With his child. Your father's child. I sat down, hands cold. Kyle looked between us. So the December baby. Angela nodded. Was your half-brother, Emma. My first son. I couldn't keep him. I couldn't look at him without remembering what happened. I gave him up for adoption. No one ever knew. Not even Thomas. And Kyle? I asked. Thomas came back a few months later. I never told him about the other baby. We tried again. He promised he'd changed. I got pregnant again. With Kyle. Kyle sank deeper into the couch, eyes glassy. You told me he died when I was 10. That it was a car accident. Angela's voice dropped to a whisper. It wasn't. What? He found out. About the other child. About your uncle. He was furious. Thought I'd cheated on him. That the first baby was his and I'd given him away behind his back. She looked away. We argued. He hit me. Pushed him. He fell. Oh my God. She closed her eyes. I didn't mean to. But when he didn't wake up, I panicked. I staged the crash. Everyone believed it. The room was spinning. Our entire lies built on pain and silence. Kyle stood slowly. So what now? Angela looked up at him with tears in her eyes. That's up to you. But for me it was already too late. The truth had already changed everything. We didn't speak for days. Kyle barely left the bedroom. I slept on the couch surrounded by silence and the soft hum of the baby monitor. Even though there was no baby yet. I wanted to scream. To run. To undo everything. But I couldn't. I was too far in. Too many truths had been buried for too long. And now they were clawing their way out, one by one. On the third night, Kyle finally came out of the room. He stood in the doorway, pale and tired. I got a call, he said. I looked up from the floor. From who? The agency. About the adoption records. My heart skipped. And he swallowed hard. They found him. The baby your dad fathered. My half-brother. I stood slowly. Where is he? Live's 2 hours away. His name's Adam. We drove in silence. It was surreal meeting someone who was the living embodiment of all our parents' mistakes. And yet, Adam wasn't a monster. He was calm, kind, curious. He'd always wondered about his biological parents, but never expected to meet siblings under these circumstances. When we told him everything, the overlapping families, the lies, the secrets, he didn't flinch. He just said, sounds like you two were collateral damage. He wasn't wrong. On the way home, Kyle turned to me. What do we do now? I didn't have an answer. We talked for hours that night. About the baby. About our families. About the love we still had even after everything. Yes, we were cousins. No, it wasn't illegal where we lived. But it still felt wrong. Broken. Stained. In the end we made a choice. We would raise our child together. As parents. As partners. But not as a couple. We moved into separate rooms. Told people we were taking space. And when our daughter was born we both cried. Not just because of the overwhelming love, but because of the weight she would carry. A legacy of secrets. Of betrayal. Of survival. We named her Hope. Because that's what she was. Not a symbol of the past. But a reason to fight for a better future.